Giving you a countdown in 5, 4, 3. Yes, I see you in the striped dress. 2. Yes, I see you, Charlene. Mr. Rampasad, why are you holding us up? All right. So welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Let's thank NEDCO for feeding us and ensuring that we have fuel, because I know that people want to pay attention to this masterclass that we have coming. And so this masterclass, we're going to be focusing on sustainability in business, not just talking the talk, but walking the talk. And so our moderator for this session is an alumna of the University of the West Indies and the Boulder Institute of Microfinance in Colorado. He has a bachelor's in agribusiness management and a master's with distinction in marketing management from the UE. He has over 25 years experience in mentoring startup entrepreneurs and in managing SME finance programs within the Caribbean region. He was previously a strategic consultant to Axel Caribbean, the CEO for the National Entrepreneurship Development Company Limited, or NEDCO, and regional manager of group credit for the DFL subsidiary Microfin Caribbean Holdings Company Limited. Now, currently, he is the Entrepreneurship Unit Consultant at the UE St. Augustine, with managerial responsibility for the UE Ventures Limited and the UE Entrepreneurship Unit. Let us welcome Mr. Julian Henry, Entrepreneurship Unit Consultant at UE, who is going to moderate this panel. But before we get to the panel, let me also introduce our speakers. Yes, you can have a seat. So our first distinguished speaker in this session is a 27-year-old entrepreneur with a love for nature and freedom, who started exploring the world of business at the age of 17. He is the owner and manager of the EcoWash brand, the country's first water conservation car wash. Now, over the past 2 years, his company developed a small, compact, easy transportable unit which contains enough water to wash 20 vehicles without an electrical connection, infrastructure, or drainage. All solutions are biodegradable and eco-friendly. And so I want to welcome Mr. DAREEM Jeffrey, owner of EcoWash. Let's welcome him as he comes. You can have a seat in the meantime, DAREEM. And please allow me to introduce our next presenter. Our next presenter is an expert in scientific communication, leveraging its potential and a potent tool to educate and empower individuals and organizations to prioritize sustainability. By integrating the arts and science, he strives to ignite a transformative movement towards finding solutions and providing alternatives across all sectors, including business, agriculture, and society at large. And that gentleman is Mr. Luke Pounder, environmental scientist at Microbes Alive. Let's welcome him as he comes. Now, how this session is going to go is that we're going to have a presentation first by DAREEM, then we're going to have another presentation by, of course, CEO of Microbes, Luke, and then we are going to have a panel discussion. So you can take it away now, DAREEM.
Good morning, everyone. All protocols observed. Is 2 liters of water enough to wash a vehicle? Hi, my name is DAREEM Jeffrey. I'm the owner and managing director of EcoWash. EcoWash is an ecological car wash solution that I would have developed. As I said, my name is DAREEM Jeffrey. I'm originally from Muruga, where we always struggled for a constant supply of water. We would get it once every 2 weeks in the wee hours of the morning, just for a couple of hours. So I'm officially someone from the bush. So we struggled for water, and when I left home at the age of 17 to pursue tertiary education, I made St. Augustine my home. And I was shocked and astonished by the constant supply of water that flowed through the pipes, to the extent where some homeowners and apartment owners didn't even have tanks because they were so much assured that they would get a constant supply of water. This is a very real picture. We still have standpipes in South. I remember I did a road trip with a couple of my friends the other day, and they were shocked that we had concrete houses on paved roads in South. But we do. But we don't have water. I grew up in a really nice 6-bedroom house, and I did not know what was hot and cold. Because how could you have hot and cold if you don't have the basic amenities of water to flow through the pipe? So when I moved up here, I would bathe 3 and 4 times a night out of boredom and astonishment because, hey, when is the water going to stop? And it never did. So I began to do my investigation of why one sector of society enjoyed this basic and fundamental human right while the other sector in rural Trinidad was deprived of it. And I came up with 3 things. 1, persons in the east-west corridor lived along the lines of where industrial hubs and factories were, which demanded a constant supply of water. 2, we lost a lot of water due to what we call non-revenue water, which is water lost to leaks. And it added to our water deficit, which was 44 MCM every month. And thirdly, we have over 500 car washes in Trinidad and Tobago. But all of them are very much necessary because we have over 1 million cars on the nation's road, over 300,000 registered license holders. That's around 3 cars per license holder. And licensing office in 2018 went as far as to say that we add on average 25,000 cars to the nation's roads every year. That's how we can move from a PEA series to a PEE series in under 2 years. So that's why I came up with EcoWash after looking at the problems. The traditional car wash system, which is bucket and sponge pressure washer, uses on average 180 liters of water to wash a vehicle. We just use 2 liters. If 1 million cars to be washed every month, once a month, that's 180 million liters of water, as I say, being wasted. Couldn't that not be diverted to household use in rural Trinidad? So we came up with EcoWash. EcoWash is an ecological car wash solution that uses 2 liters of water. It's autonomous and portable, so it requires no infrastructure or drainage, no water or electrical connection, and all our solutions are biodegradable and eco-friendly. Well, no water actually touches the floor, so there's no runoff whatsoever. So with the autonomous system, we wash it wherever you park it, promising you a showroom finish with no scratches. But may I add that we're covered by over 4 million in insurance coverage, which we've never had to use. But if we scratch it, which is impossible, we replace it. So this is our team, our Eco Army, made up of me, DAREEM Jeffrey, who has experience in community involvement, Dennis Lord with his labor studies and degree and his MBA. We have Sherry and Pierre Williams, who helps us with our accounting and business advisory, Angela and Frederick, who is our legal counsel, and a lot of connections to Latin America. So how does EcoWash work? Our business revenue involves the leasing and franchising, which I'll come back to, home and office visits, where you can have it at the comfort of your home. You don't even have to come and hook up our holes for us, because we work with our own water and electricity. And our stationary locations, we're at C3 Mall. 3 weeks ago, we signed our largest location yet, which is Gulf City Mall. And we have 4 new locations that we should be launching before September. Thank you. So how does it work? We have a proprietary polymer which we developed. Once it's sprayed onto the car, it emulsifies the dirt, does a brief paint decontamination, and we simply wipe it off. So we don't just care about the environment, we care about you. We are conveniently located at malls and busy high traffic areas. We are affordable. We give you a wash, wax, and tire shine for the easy cost of $60 TT. The waxes that we use on your vehicle, when we compare it to our nearest competitor, you would have to pay $350 for the wax we use. We're still making profit. We believe in eating little and living long. We reduce your carbon footprint, so no longer do you have to go to the car wash, burn fossil fuel. We offer you this service at convenient locations where you can shop, dine, and lime while your car is being washed. You go grocery shopping. I'll take care of the car. And our employment and entrepreneurial initiative is where I'll go back to our franchising opportunity. We are opening up our business for persons between the ages of 17 to 25 to start their own enterprise. We're not only going to train you in business development, but we're going to give you the resources for you to start your own business. There's a saying that goes, give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, you feed him for life. But if you don't give a man a fishing rod, how does he go fishing? So we provide you with those resources. We're in talks with OJT, where we'll be tapping into that system, taking persons with subjects between 0 to 4 that most employers consider undesirable and giving them that lease on life. So this is one of our employees, Chanel. We hire women. Our Gulf City branch is actually run by an only female branch. They are very efficient. As Ms. Grant would have said, they pay special attention to detail. Yeah, and some of our customers like that. Yeah. So no longer does the car go to the car wash. Now the car wash comes to the car. And we're not just a car wash. We are the car wash of the future. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much for that excellent presentation, DAREEM. I think I'm going to hold the questions until after we hear from Luke. I do have many, but I also want to moderate some questions from the audience as well. This is such a good presentation. This is not the first time I've heard it, and it seems to be getting better. Excellent. Mr. Pounder, over to you.
Good day, everybody. My name is Luke Pounder. So I'll start off my journey as an environmentalist. I just graduated from UE a couple years back, and I spent 2 years trying to get a job in my field. It was a very hard process. So when my friend's brother told me he was starting up this Microbes Alive company, I ran straight at it because it, at its very core, defines and embodies sustainability, right? So at Microbes Alive, we have collaborated with the Happy Planet, which is a new oyster mushroom firm. It's a big company, indoor facility, and it is planning to create the industry of oyster mushrooms in the country. The point of a bunch of waste means that we need to do something with that waste. So where Microbes comes in and Happy Planet is that we can create a circular economy, right? So Happy Planet Mushrooms is an innovative indoor facility producing 15,000 pounds of mushrooms every month. With resource-efficient practices, LED, water recycling, they have a reduced energy and water consumption, and they are generating a monthly supply of 15,000 pounds of spent mushroom substrate. What do we do with that? So Microbes Alive, we are transforming waste into a resource. At the basis of it all, we are composting organic matter, right? But we are composting it with consultancy from abroad, where we have gotten state-of-the-line, educated, and highly experienced people telling us exactly how to mix these, which ratios to use, and what we need to look for in the compost to ensure that when you add it to soil, it brings the soil back to life by adding the beneficial microbes. So what we do at Microbes Alive is we try to turn waste into a resource. So a linear economy, design, distribute, use, and that's it, straight to the landfill. What a circular economy tries to promote is reusing that waste and putting it back into the system. So as opposed to a linear, after we are done, we recycle it and use that as raw materials in the next stage of the process. So traditional mushroom production, you could use any substrate really. A common one is rice straw. Rice straw, you inoculate with mushrooms, you get oyster mushrooms, and spent mushroom substrate, the rest goes into the waste. Where Microbes Alive comes in, that same mushroom waste is mycelium. Mycelium is a very important component in our compost. So when we add the mycelium with the organic waste, we get this compost that has all the beneficial aerobic microbes that can revitalize your soil. So, sorry. In traditional rice production, where we get the rice straw, there's a heavy usage of chemicals. With that, we get inorganic rice and inorganic rice straw, which goes to the trash. Some people use it, but for the most part, it is not utilized. The problem is the chemicals. The chemical conundrum is what I like to call it. Because of agriculture and humanity and populations growing so much, we need to facilitate that by growing a lot of food, right? And the only way we have found to do that is by using chemicals. The reliance on these chemicals has led to unforeseen circumstances that we are now seeing today. I can't get into it. A couple are soil disruption, impaired natural nutrient flow, soil degradation, loss of fertility, pesticide resistance, biodiversity loss, environmental pollution, and an economic dependency on the farmer strain. But the reality is, it looks a lot more like this. And there is an endless list of negatives with the chemicals. So, with our microbes, we try to close this loop. We add the microbes as opposed to the chemicals into the rice. We get organic rice and the rice straw, which we can then use in this system, where you see from the rice, we get the straw, we use it for the mushrooms, we get our mushrooms, we take the waste from the mushrooms, add the microorganisms, get the compost for the microbes, and with that compost, we can inoculate the rice to get organic rice, and the cycle continues, thus creating a perfectly circular system. So, with this, there are loads of environmental benefits. I'll just go into a couple. Reduced waste, decreased need for traditional chemical fertilizers, enhanced soil health and fertility, and reduced greenhouse gas emissions. But the reality is the benefits look a lot more like this. So, not only is it environmentally benefit, there are also many economic benefits. By using that waste and reutilizing it, we can improve the resource security amid supply chain uncertainties. We can enhance our customer loyalty by knowing that we have sustainability, and there are many cost savings through reusing that waste. So, all in all, by creating a circular system or circular economy, we can take away a very huge part of the waste that is generated in any business once you can identify what your waste is, and you can see the value in that waste to reintroduce it to another business so that we can remove the need for the landfill and create a circular economy. So we are proud as Microbes Alive and Happy Planet to lead the way in creating a sustainable circular economy, and we invite other businesses to join us in creating a positive impact on our planet while building a thriving and sustainable future. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mr. Pounder, for that excellent presentation. Very inspiring. I have to say, sustainability and environmental best practice and business best practice seem to be going hand in hand. DAREEM, what do you think in terms of your experience and your business that you've been operating, EcoWash? What is more important for you? The profitability component as a business entrepreneur, or ensuring that you are sort of meeting the environmental best practice? What's the balance for you?
For me, I believe when you have a business with a purpose, the profit always follows. And seeing and coming from a community where we see not only fundamental human rights being deprived to certain individuals, but also us being said small island developing states, we are feeling the impacts of global warming. And when you have that purpose with your business, companies are looking for green businesses. They're looking for green solutions. As it stands right now, we have contracts with Answer McCall. Monday, we got a contract granted to us from Europcar, because we have a green business. So once you have that purpose, the profits will always follow.
Luke, just taking on that particular response, and I think that was an excellent response. You're very much on the right track in my view. What about customers? Do you think customers, when they make choice, when they select what businesses or what products to purchase, how important is it for them? Is it something that you are seeing? How important is it for customers, consumers, to say, I want to buy this product because it's sustainable, because it's environmentally sustainable? How important do you think that is?
I think the importance has been growing more and more throughout the years. As you said, it is very important to study the profitability, but the reality is the longevity is what really matters. Because as much as you can gain much profit off of a venture, how long can you gain that profit for? The sustainability lies in ensuring that you can gain those profits over a long period of time. And I think that customers appreciate that, and they appreciate the fact that businesses have a direct impact on our environment. So if they support a business, they're supporting their impacts on the environment. So as businesses, we need to make sure that we have as little of an impact as we can, and that will, as you said, generate more sales.
Yeah, I agree. I think I think consumers are really paying attention more and more to how sustainable businesses are and the impact that their choice to purchase that product is having on the environment. And that's a trend, and it seems to be a growing and rapidly growing trend. Do you think, gentlemen, and anyone can take this question, that besides the environmental impact, we're talking about sustainability here in business, and there are other things that make a business sustainable, and that is its impact on the social and communities, and even within your own organization, what impact you are having on your employees and your employee welfare, equality, employee engagement. Those things are also important as well, I think. So just thinking a little bit more broadly where sustainability is concerned, how important is that, and how do you see your business going forward and paying attention to those elements?
Yeah. I understood from very early on that it's the employees that drive the business. I'm actually part of the YAP program, the Youth Agricultural Homestead Program with the government. And I've been in school for a year. I'm a year full-time, and my business has been running profitably by 18-year-old. The oldest employee I've ever had was 22, coincidentally. And I always said to them, I said, if you can run my business successfully, then you can run your own business successfully. And that's why we came up with the franchising. What we realized is that what young persons or anybody would consider a shortfall with them, or you're too young, or you're a particular race, or you came from this socioeconomic background, it's actually a perk. Persons will see young persons and say, I want to buy from you just because you're young. Or I saw that you're from Aruga, so I want to help a country boy. So we have definitely leveraged that youthfulness. Persons have definitely bought into our business because of that. There are other different factors, but there are persons who support us because of that. We've had persons in our 2.5 years of operation going on to become doctors, who's doing mechanical engineering, who's a teacher now, who's a geriatric nurse. Because I always tell my workers in the interview stage, you cannot be here after 2 years unless you want to run your own branch, because it's an insult to me if I am working with persons who want to work in a car wash for the rest of their life. Unless you want a managerial position, that can't slide. So it's either you show yourself as a leader and want your own branch, or I will help you to get betterment. I've had persons who've worked. I've had persons who worked with me in the past, and while they're working for me, I send out your resume. You're working for me, and I want to be a chef. Right, well, one of my customers, he owns a restaurant, so I'm going to call him and have you get an interview with him. So persons have used EcoWash as a stepping stone. It has definitely affected us with our retention, but I feel very proud to see persons go on for better and go on to become better. Whether you want to use EcoWash as a stepping stone or you want to grow with the company, we are definitely there to facilitate you. One of the hard parts for me in business was realizing that when I started and I was looking for profit and thinking that a worker is going to come and make me a whole bunch of money, you realize that you quickly move from a business owner to becoming a mentor. And it was very hard for me, who needed mentorship at the age of 24 doing businesses with malls, to now having to mentor youths and say, hey, when you get your salary, put away 20% in a savings, or don't go along with your girlfriend this weekend because you have to buy shoes because you're working during the summer to buy your school books. So definitely that social impact has been dear to me. I think it's about becoming for someone what you wanted somebody to be for you. Because when I left home at 17, I left home with $28 in my pocket. And I used to be a little caddy and do food runs for people to make some dollars. And if I had this opportunity, Lord knows what would have happened. So it's definitely providing that for the youth.
Wow, excellent. So I know we're going to open up the floor for questions in a short bit. I promise you, I just have one more question. Yes. And guys, I know you are getting a sense of the quality of these two presenters, the energy, and I'm sure it's inspirational to you as it is for me. Luke, I just have one more question for you guys, and maybe you can address this one. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you do have a science background, so you understand the science and the technology behind what you're doing. There are so many different types of businesses that young entrepreneurs can go into, whether it is in agriculture, whether it is in ICT, fashion, creatives. There's a broad range. How important do you think is a science background for developing sustainable technologies, or how important do you think it is to be educated to be able to execute and do the proper research to come up with sustainable technologies in business?
Right. So I think that education is absolutely vital in any business venture, because once you educate yourself, okay, let's say we're doing composting and we need to break down the material. How do we break down the material? If we have a business plan, we need to know, okay, this person is good at business, this person is good at farming. You need to understand everybody's strengths and weaknesses. And yes, as much as it is good to have very highly educated scientists in your team, it's also important to have other people with their own strengths, right? So yes, education, it should be at the forefront, because education to me is empowerment. If you understand how something works, then you can work to fix that problem, right? In any field, as I said, it is important to look at the strengths and weaknesses of every individual. Although I am a science background, I don't have a IT background, you know?
Yeah.
So
would you say,
yes.
Would you say that for young entrepreneurs, whatever level of education that you are in, the pursuit of learning, the pursuit of gaining knowledge, gaining information, and gaining understanding and insight, that is like a continuous journey that should be pursued?
One of my favorite quotes is, the minute you stop learning is the minute you stop growing. And I think in every day, in every venture, in every job, you need to keep your mind open to learn as much as you can every day. Be a sponge and absorb new knowledge so that you can be more useful in your field, in your house, in your whatever situation it is. Never stop learning. That's my advice.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, the energy from these two presenters, I'm sure you're feeling it. The passion, the knowledge, the insight, very inspirational. And now I'll just pause on my questions. So I'm sorry to hog the questions for the first 2 minutes. I really do apologize-ish, right? But now I'd really love to hear from you guys. What sort of questions do you have for these two presenters? So we open up the floor. Yeah, I see a hand up over there, and I see a hand here. So let's just, as I see, I'm just going to scan the room, right? So we go to you, and then we go to the front. Yep.
Good afternoon, DAREEM. I just had a question for you. I really was inspired by you saying you take a great care in growing your employees, and I also would like to do the same thing. My question is, how do you separate, if there is a separation, between your motivation for profit and your motivation for their growth? Because I can't imagine every single time that it's always aligning, you know? So my question is just, how do you separate it if there is a separation?
I think it starts from the interview process. You see the thinkers, you see the ones who have ideas, and the ones who take ownership. I would say, the reason why I think I would have been good in business is I think I was the best employee anybody could ask for. I used to take ownership of these companies and go to my boss every Monday morning, do this, do that. And I think that's what I look for. You look for persons who are thinkers. And when I remember, I said I was never going to start a TikTok. I said TikTok is playful and I run in a prestige business. I don't want this playful, it's like child's play. And one of my workers was like, yeah, well, study TikTok and we run it. Study TikTok, became addicted to TikTok. And I used to get like 200 views, 300 views. And a worker said to me, you need to put this trending soundtrack on this and click that. Got 17,000 views. So giving your employees free rein to add to the company and taking their ideas into consideration will bring the profits. So there's not a demarcation or separation, but both are intertwined really nicely. The more you empower them and give them that ability to show themselves, the more profits will come.
Yeah, I just want to endorse that absolutely 100% and completely. So employee engagement is the objective that I think we want to try to achieve, and employee engagement leads to innovative thinking, above and beyond thinking, and it leads to more sort of productive and competitive business enterprise. So there's a direct correlation between how you engage with your employees and the ultimate profitability of your business. So that was a really excellent question and response.
Yeah.
Really good. Yes?
That you have one more question, because I have a few online. You have one more from the floor?
Oh, yes, we do have another question in front, and I wouldn't mind taking, just to kind of balance it out, one from over on this side, please.
Sure.
And then we take the online questions.
After this one, can I just do one online and then we can jump back in?
Yes,
Just
let's
to
do
ensure
that.
we get
Yeah.
them? Okay.
Hi. So my question for DAREEM and Luke, seeing that you all have a sustainable business, you say, DAREEM, that you use your own electricity to do the car wash. Tell me more about that. And as Luke, you use the LED lighting, right? The full spectrum lighting. Do you know your energy usage? And what are some ways that you believe that you can implement to make your business more sustainable on the energy side? Yes.
Right, so I cannot tell you the exact energy usage that we have right now. It is a completely indoor facility, so climate control, lighting, everything needs to be monitored perfectly. So it does take a lot of energy. And we do need to diversify our energy. So I think we should definitely have a conversation about the solar after this.
Yeah. You want to take a stab at that?
I am very excited about that question. A couple of weeks ago, we were recipients of a grant from the government through Cariri and the European Union. And what we had proposed to them is moving away from building our machines out of fiberglass, because we build them right here in Trinidad with some youth from over Laventille. We've trained them. The grant is going towards building the machines out of recyclable plastics and having them solar powered. So definitely we're extending how eco-friendly we are, even though we were using a recyclable battery. Definitely moving along that solar line is looking very much possible right now.
So just to add quickly to that particular question, it was a really important question, I think, for all of us in the room. So previously, sustainability was described as good corporate social responsibility in business. And then it moved to sustainable business practice because it is strategic. What is coming is sustainability compliance. So that is eventually going to be there. And that is where the sustainability index and measures of energy usage impact. Those things are then going to become, at some stage, mandatory for you to report on. So those things are coming. So eventually, all of us in business are going to have to comply or measure our sustainability levels in business.
Yeah. Mr. Henry, if you can permit me, and I know we have one more question in the room as well, but quickly an online question, and this is for DAREEM. They want to know, how did you go about doing the research on the science for your business, and who did you reach out to?
For the science of the business, I think for me the science of the business came after. It was a lot of trial and error on my part. What I would have done is gotten a polymer solution that's really good, but it has no Trinidad impact or application. So I have to put in an extra ingredient there to get the hydrophobic properties. Or what we use is something called canuba wax, where as eco-friendly as our canuba wax is actually the same wax used on apples. So you get that extra gloss and protection. So it was just a lot of mixing and matching. And then we liaised with places like Kariri,
Yeah.
the EMA, looking at what they had online. We recently got the top award from the EMA for our climate action and impact. So starting off, it was a lot of formulation on my end. I do have a chemistry background from CXC, which gave me a nice little
I give you
base
a boost.
level.
Yeah, advantage, yes.
But it was a lot of trial and error, and then going and as funding came in, going to the agencies that can do the testing for us.
And a quick follow-up, Mr. Henry. Question for EcoWash. What are the hours of work at C3 and Gulf City malls?
Yeah, so C3 and Gulf City runs from 9:30 in the morning to 5:30 in the afternoon. Very soon, we should be at maybe Eastgate Mall, Nicholas Towers, shops of Trin City, and we on Monday got the contract for Europcar, which is the largest car rental in Trinidad, with a lot of regional reach.
Yes. Nice. Thank you, Mr. Henry.
Thank you very much. So yes, I think there were some questions residing in that direction. So if you still have that question handy.
I'm not going to stand up again. Morning, guys.
Good. Is it still morning? Yes.
Startup cost for a franchise, and for Luke, the price point, doesn't that make your mushrooms more expensive? That whole process, and with the microbes additives, the rice is now chemical free, you say? Those are the two questions. Thanks.
Right. You want to go first?
Sure. The cost of the franchise, we're tweaking it a bit right now because of the grant funding with the government. We're looking to subsidize the cost of the franchise. What we wanted to create was a turnkey model that was fail-proof. So what we do is we get contracts. So Anson McCall, Pipdeco, Vemcut, and these guys, and we hand this over to youths. You get your friends, we give you the system and support, so you know that that contract is profitable, so it's fail-proof. What we're also looking at is maybe having a very low lease agreement where you can maybe rent it on the weekends for maybe $100 a day. If you do a house call, charging $100 for a car is Sakai. So if we charge that $100 a day, you're sure you're going to maybe get 10 persons from your neighborhood. A car wash by us takes about 10 to 15 minutes to do. So you can get your friends and family and do 20 cars on a weekend, not only empowering them, empowering their families, empowering the communities, helping youths who are going to school. We have a lot of youths who go to school and DAREEM, I want to leave 3 o'clock today, I want to leave 2 o'clock today. Helping them get that funding to continue that week for traveling money and stuff. So the franchise, we are trying to keep it as low as possible. As it stands right now without funding, would be around $100 a day. So around $3,000 for the month. But the contracts that we're getting for you with these big companies, it's with its way in goal.
Excellent.
Right. So in Trinidad and the Caribbean, really, there are people that grow oyster mushrooms, but there is no commercial facility, right? We are going to produce up to 15,000 pounds a month. And with that, the cost of oyster mushrooms might be around $70 to $100 a pound. We would go down to around $30 to $50 because of the scale at which we are producing the mushrooms. Also with the quick turnover time, and you don't really need too many ingredients to make mushrooms. You just inoculate in some rice straw, you get mushrooms. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
So with regards to the cost of investment, this facility itself was the main expense, but from now on, we are going to reduce in cost as time goes on because we're going to increase in operation. And with regards to the microbes, right, so microbes, okay, just to give you all an analogy, have you ever seen a farmer go into the forest to spray pesticides or fertilizers?
No.
They don't need to because of the biodiversity that exists. The soil itself is alive. What Microbes Alive aims to do is to reintroduce the microbiology into the soil, reintroducing that biodiversity, right? And once the biodiversity is returned, no one organism can be dominant. There's not going to be a single pest that could take out the entire rice field. Yes, they may have organisms, that's natural. They may have weed a little bit, that's natural, but the product itself will become organic because you would revitalize the soil itself, and because of that, you do not need to add chemical inputs to keep the products growing.
So in other words, your supply chain logistics and partnership will encourage sustainable rice production,
Exactly.
so to speak. That was really, really good.
Mr.
And
Henry, I beg your indulgence, please.
Yes, no,
Yes,
please,
question
You know, I
online?
always
All right.
have more questions.
So do you, and of course this is for Luke, do you have any products in stores and groceries?
Right, so currently we have a couple boxes to give away actually.
Nice.
To whoever is most interested. I know you said you love your garden, so for sure you could get one. But yes, in Anthony P. Scott in Aranguez and Aranguez Nurseries are the only two places that we have it so far, but we will be expanding and it would be all over the place
Nice.
Excellent.
soon.
Excellent.
This is a long one, but bear with me. So in mentioning the outsourcing of human resources for aspects of a business you do not understand, how do you deal with potential stumbling blocks in hiring qualified local personnel who may not have experience very specific to the business idea you may have? Or do you automatically outsource internationally? Because part of this person's concern is the development of the local capacity and ability.
That is an excellent question. And we had that same problem because we were looking for consultancy that was not available to us.
Yeah.
Right? So we started off with a lot of trial and error, but that just couldn't work for the level that we wanted or the standard that we needed. So we went abroad and we paid for consultancy and we trained ourselves to be able to then take on those roles. So if it is that you don't want to hire somebody internationally, I think that it is worth it to train somebody locally to be able to handle that task. So, you know, so it's a little more of an investment, but
Yeah.
very worth it to have that capacity in the country itself.
Nice. Thank you, Mr. Henry.
Excellent. Okay, guys, are we all exhausted in terms of questions from the floor, or we have a few more? I think we're doing okay-ish for time.
I have one more online, if you can permit me.
Yes, let's do the one
But
more,
I
because I didn't
saw-
see hands. Okay, let's say the online question.
All right, so
yeah.
online this is kind of outside, but still, what are the presenters' thoughts on conscious capitalism? This person has an existential question.
Yes, so conscious
Mr. Henry, you can
capitalism.
jump in here as well, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to take a stab at it, right? So you're kind of marrying that sort of moral compass thinking with where do you invest and what do you invest in, right? And how do we create businesses that are both profitable, but thinking of the other things that are important to us as human beings. How do we live together? How do we work? What is our environment like? Is it clean? Is it sustainable? Are we damaging the environment? Are we damaging the air? And more, in my view, we have to be conscious, but consumers are conscious for us. Consumers are paying attention to this, and they are making choice, and they are selecting businesses, they are selecting products that are more environmentally sustainable, that are more conscious of what is happening and what they are doing. So as we sort of create a culture of business, or I should say, as we evolve our business culture in Trinidad and Tobago, I think what we will see is a growing evolution towards that type of thinking. I think younger entrepreneurs are grabbing onto that mindset a lot faster because they are in the space where they understand this very deeply. I think the more established businesses that have 20, 30, 40, 50, above 100 employees, large investments already built in, I think it's really hard and a little bit more difficult for them to shift their focus, shift their investment, and shift their direction into more environmentally sustainable practices. But I think they don't have a choice. I think they're going to have to do that.
Mr. Henry, I'm going to permit you one more minute in terms of closing thoughts or any other questions, because we're out of time, unfortunately.
Oh, absolutely. So what I'm going to do is ask these two gentlemen to share any sort of closing thoughts on any aspect of what they were presented, any aspect of what was asked from the panel, or any of your thoughts regarding this particular topic. How about you, Luke?
I think that sustainability is a spectrum. You could either change your light bulb and be more sustainable, or you can change the structure of your job, right? With regards to your question, I think that no matter what business you have, no matter what your operations are, you can look always to see if you can be a little bit more sustainable. And if you're always under that premise, you could be like, oh, I wasted a little bit too much water today. Let me see if I could do it with 1.9 liters instead, and with that, you're always improving. You're always becoming more sustainable. So even if it is, you're starting off really unsustainably, over time, you will reach a state of sustainability.
I think you use the absolute right word. Let's try to be a little bit more sustainable. Let's try to do a little bit better on this. That's what it takes, I think, and eventually it adds up. Yeah. Over to you.
I'll say to young entrepreneurs, my 4 C's, make a choice, choose a business you really like, take a chance on yourself, make a change, tweak your systems as you progress, and remain consistent. I think the world is definitely moving in the direction of environmental sustainability. There are subsidies coming up for solar power. EcoWash is actually the only legal car wash system in Trinidad during periods of water restrictions. A lot of persons don't know it's a finable offense. It's illegal to wash a car with a hose during these periods. So we thank the government for that. It's been good for business. But definitely seeing where the world is going and jumping on board, because I'm telling you, eco-friendliness is definitely the way to go. It's cool. It's cool to drink juice out of a bamboo straw.
And that is where we will leave it for now. Let me thank, of course, Mr. Jeffrey, Mr. Henry, and Mr. Pounder. Let's thank them with a round of applause, please. And gentlemen, before you go, as is the custom of NEDCO, we want to offer you a token of our appreciation. So first I'll have Mr. Jeffrey right this way, and I will invite, of course, Mrs. Crystal Bradshaw Bramble to do the presentation on behalf of NEDCO. So DAREEM, thank you for everything that you shared today. NEDCO thanks you. We appreciate you. A round of applause for DAREEM, please. Thank you so much, DAREEM. Next, we will have Mr. Pounder come this way. A token of NEDCO's appreciation for the informative session. A round of applause as well for Mr. Pounder. And of course, not forgetting you, Mr. Henry. Thank you so much for moderating this panel. I know we could have given you more time, but unfortunately, we need to let these people eat. So we're telling you thank you so much. A round of applause for Mr. Henry. Of course, and thank you, Mr. Henry, for moderating this session. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that takes us to our lunch break. We have a great afternoon session, but as always, we need to ensure that you have enough fuel. So we are going to break now for lunch, and we're going to come back in 1 hour. So do enjoy.